Hello students, welcome to BTech first year physics course. Now today I will discuss the conservation laws of a single particle. Okay, so first let's discuss the conservation of linear momentum. Now you know that if we apply force on a particle, there will be rate of change of linear momentum, right? So that's why we write according to the Newton's second law of motion, F equal to this dp dt. Now p is the momentum, linear momentum, that is basically mass into the velocity. So that's why we are putting here. Now if we don't apply any external force, what will happen? The state of the particle will not change, right? So if the particle is moving with a constant velocity, here actually the particle is moving with constant velocity, that is v, so it will move with that velocity, right? So you can see that if that is so dp dt equal to 0, and you can see that the momentum, linear momentum, that is mass into the velocity, that will be constant. So if the external force is not there, in the absence of external force, the linear momentum of the particle is always remain same, that is conserved. So this is the conservation of linear momentum. Now come to the conservation of angular momentum. So angular momentum, how it comes? So due to the rotation of any particle, it comes. Now how it is generated? So basically you can see here, so this is a particle and this is a reference point. Now if we apply a force along this direction, and actually when you are applying a force on this particle, actually you are giving a momentum on that particle, right? So due to that actually we will get the angular momentum. So that's why we write r cross p, and basically r cross p, you know that here we are rotating our system from r to p. That's why we are getting this j. J is the angular momentum, and the direction of j will be inside this laptop screen, right? So you know that j equal to r cross p. Now, so when you are applying a force on this particle, you are applying torque on that particle with respect to this point O. And what will be the value of that torque, or what will be the form of that torque? That is r cross f, right? That we know. Now if we take the time derivative of this equation 1, so we can write dj dt equal to d dt r cross p. So now if we divide it like this, first term will be dr dt cross p, then plus r cross dp dt. So dr dt, what is this? This is the velocity, right? And dp dt, that is the force applied on that particle. So this is v. Now inside this p there will be v, because p equal to mv. So v cross v. So m is here is scalar quantity. So basically this cross product is with the same quantity, same vector quantity, that is the velocity, v cross v. So if we do v cross v, we get this 0. So that's why this first term is not here in this expression, and here basically as I told, dp dt is the applied force, so that's why we can write this force here. So dj dt equal to r cross f. So comparing with this equation 2, we can write this torque tau is basically dj dt, right? And that is d dt r cross p. Now again, if we don't apply a torque on that particle, if the external torque on that particle is 0, so there will be no if the particle is moving in a circular path, it will remain in that circular path. The state of the particle will not change. So that's why the j remains constant. If there is no initial angular momentum, there will be no angular momentum after that also. So statement is, in absence of external torque, the total angular momentum of a particle is always conserved if there is no external torque, right? Now, what is conservation of energy? So when we talk about conservation of energy, so energy we can divide as kinetic energy and potential energy. So let's see how we will write the kinetic energy. Okay, so from the basic definition of work done, so that is F dot dr. So what is dr? Dr means if a particle is moving from this one point and to the second point, then dr is the elemental length of this path. Okay, so F dot dr is basically the work done in moving that dr path. Now you know that force is basically mass into dv dt, right? Rate of change of linear momentum. So we are putting that here. Then dr is basically v dt, means if v is the linear velocity, now if you multiply with dt time, in that dt time actually the particle is covering dr path. Okay, so that's why this is v dt. Okay, now here how this half is coming, half. So basically what we are doing here, we are writing v dot v, right? So if you do this time derivative on this, so there will be two terms, right? dv dt dot v plus v dot dv dt, both are same. So that's why there is a 2 extra term is coming, 2. So that's why that 2 has to be eliminated, because in the original form here there is no 2 term. So that's why we are putting a half here. Okay, now v dot v, you know v square, so that's why we are writing this v square, and if we put this m into this parenthesis, it becomes half m v square. Okay, so F dot dr is basically the change. What is this half m v square? That is kinetic energy. So change of kinetic energy. So change of kinetic energy is basically your work done. So that is the work energy theorem, right? Now the work done by the external force F upon a particle in displacing from 1 to this 2 point is actually written like this. You know that line integration 1 to 2 F dot dr. Now here we will put this form. Now if we do so, then this term what we are getting, this is the kinetic energy of the particle at the second point, 2 point, and this is the kinetic energy in the first point, 1 point, right? So T2 is the kinetic energy at this point and T1 is the kinetic energy at 1 point. So you can see the change of kinetic energy is basically the work done of the particle when the particle is actually moving from 1 to 2 point. Okay. Now let's understand the potential energy. Now when we talk about potential energy, and to find out that, we have to consider the force which we are considering, that is conservative force. Now in the previous case, when we are talking about the change of kinetic energy is basically the work done, it need not to be mentioned that the force which we are applying, that is conservative or non-conservative. So for any type of force, this theorem is valid, means the change of kinetic energy is actually giving us the value of the work done. But when we talk about the potential energy change, what will be that? In that case, we have to consider the force has to be conservative, otherwise the situation will be very much complicated to find out that potential energy change. Okay, so here if the work done by the force in moving that particle from this point to that point will be always same, if we move that particle from 1 to 2 along this path. So if we move this particle from along this path, p path, and whatever work done we will do, that will be remain same if we move that particle along this path, that is the q path. and when it will be happen? When the force, applied force, is conservative in nature. Please remember that. So that's why you can write like this. So PQ means actually this represents the work done along this P path, and this is the work done along Q path. Okay. So now what we are doing, we are the particle, we are basically we are applying the force on the particle for moving that particle from 1 to 2. Then the particle is actually coming back from 2 to 1. Okay, along this path, Q path. So if you do so, that will be 0 because the work done will be same in both the path. But here in this case, the work done is opposite, right? So that's why it will be 0. So total work done in this closed path will be 0, right? So thus we can tell that if the force is conservative, the work done on the particle around a closed path in that force field will be always 0. But in case of non-conservative force field like friction, the amount of work done will be different in different paths. Okay, so in different path, the work done will be different. So in closed path, it will be non-zero, right? So we have to remember this. So now again coming back to this conservation theorem. So now if we apply Stokes theorem, so this is a theorem which actually we read in vector calculus. So this is actually your prerequisite thing that you have to know. Here actually what we want to tell that circular integration f dot dr, that we actually know that, right? So if you consider a vector field and that is rotating over a circular path, so what will be the effect of that? That is the important thing. So if you have a vector field and it is rotating over a closed path, due to that rotation you will get another vector field or vector. Okay, you will get another effect of that rotation. So that effect actually called the curl of that vector field which is rotating. Now here the vector field is that force which is actually we are applying at the tangential of this path, P path and Q path, right? So curl of that force is actually another vector which is perpendicular to this plane. Okay, so now curl of that force dot ds, if you do so, that will give you the flux of that curl of that force. So basically here if this is a closed path, please follow my cursor. If this is a closed path, this closed path is actually making a open surface. You can understand. So this, suppose you have a wire, and it is a circular kind of thing. Now it is actually making a open surface, right? Like this. This is if you consider this is a closed path, this is actually open surface. So if you, and the curl of that force field direction is perpendicular to this, or it can be inclined. So that's why we are doing that dot product with that ds. Now what is this ds? ds is basically the surface, elemental surface on this open surface. So ds is a elemental surface. Now you know that a surface is a vector quantity. Now how? So the surface has some particular direction. So that is actually we tell like this: the normal component, normal direction is the direction of this surface. If you draw a perpendicular, so that will actually give you the direction of that surface. Okay, so another direction can be in the downward direction, and normally we in general we tell that direction of the surface is outward normal. Okay, so that's why ds is a vector quantity. That's why we are doing this dot product. dot product. So curl of F direction can be like this, but ds direction is like this perpendicular. So there will be angle between them. So if you do this curl F ds and if you do this surface integration, it will give us the flux of that curl of F. Now as this is a non-zero surface area, so in that case basically this curl of F will be 0, because this is 0, you can see here, got this conservative force. So ds is non-zero, so that's why this integrand curl F has to be 0. Okay. Now when this curl of F is 0, we can write it like this: F is minus del V or grad V. So in the last class we have discussed about gradient, right? Now there we have seen what is the form of del. So del is basically I cap del x plus j cap del y plus k cap del z. Okay. So and here V is the scalar potential. Now you know that when we normally put minus sign, that we discussed in the last class. So if the change direction of the potential is actually opposite to the direction of the force, then we will use this minus sign, right? So we have discussed about this example in electric field and electric potential, right? So please see that lecture. Now if we do curl of del V, and if we do so, you can see that it is giving us 0. So that's what we told, that if curl of F is 0, F we can write as del V. For the time being we are not telling about minus sign, this is a sign convention, right? So due to some physical situation there will be a minus sign. Now if you do this vector calculation, that curl of del V, it will be always 0. That's why actually we are telling that F form is del of V. F form is gradient of a scalar potential. Understood? So from here basically we are not directly telling that if curl of F is 0, it is like this. Due to this identity, it is always valid. We can tell this force is basically del V. Okay. Now again coming back to the work done, now what we want to write the work done in terms of change of scalar potential V. So we can write minus del V dot dr, and del V dot dr is basically dV. So dV, and what is del V? What is the difference? Please listen carefully. Del V is space rate of change of this scalar potential. Space rate of change means per unit length what will be the change of the potential, like that. Now if you multiply with that length dr, it will give you the total change of the potential due to the movement within this dr length. So that is dV. dV is the change of potential when we are moving in dr path. Now in total movement from 1 to 2, when we are moving from one position to 2 position, so in that case we have to do this integration 1 to 2. So it becomes V1 minus V2. Okay. So we can write down the work done by conservative force is basically the change of the potential like this, V1 minus V2. Okay, now conservation theorem is actually telling that already we have got this, that the amount of work done by a force in moving a particle from position 1 to 2 is actually given by the change in kinetic energy, that is T2 minus T1. Now if the force is conservative in nature, so this condition has to be there. The force is conservative in nature, so the work done by that conservative force is V1 minus V2. Now both are same in this conservative case, so that's why we can write V1 minus V2 equal to T2 minus T1. So ultimately we can write T1 plus V1 equal to T2 plus V2. So total energy remains constant, remains conserved when we are dealing with conservative force field, when the particle is actually moving in conservative force field. Okay, so this is the law of conservation of energy. Okay, so that is for today's class. See you in the next class.